Can you hear me?
I can hear Johnny.
Okay.
You sound very echoey. We're going to fix that. Can't hear anything.
I can barely.
Jimothy, we have no audio.
Facebook is live.
Jimothy, can you hear me?
I think we may be on the radio. I'm going to go ahead and say that we are. Good morning to you. It's a Saturday once again. You know what that means? That means it's time for Florida Talk Real Estate. 2 hours of infotainment. That's right. Count them up. Not 1, but 2 hours of infotainment. That's information, entertainment, and you can be a part of the show as well. Toll free at 877-927-6969. Jimothy will line you up and get you going on the air. Let me make sure that Jimothy's got us all right, because we're a little irky-jerky on our side. Jimothy, do you hear me okay? Good morning to you. No, we do not hear anything.
Not hear Jimothy
yep, that's loud and clear.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Glad to hear that. Things are very different on our end, but as long as you're hearing us good, then that is all that matters on this Saturday. You have entry points, 92.1, 101.7 on the radio in South Florida. That's Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. We're worldwide with your free download, your iHeartRadio app. And you can join us as we live stream, not only on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Good morning to everybody joining us out the gate, but on YouTube as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on the YouTube page. Yeah, get you some all over your face or all over our eyes. You can see us on the screen right here. Again, I'm your boy, Johnny C. Let's get your starting lineup on this Saturday morning. Beautiful Saturday morning here in South Florida. Always nice to say good morning to the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. It's my friend, Mike Rauch. Good morning to you, Michael.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good to be here on a beautiful, beautiful Sunday or Saturday, sunny South Florida winter morning.
I like it. Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's nice when you wake up and your house isn't in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, much of the country isn't experiencing that, but that's what we get.
Yes. I refuse to turn my heater on, so we had a long run of 60s, but I feel like I'm at least out of it for the now, which is a beautiful thing. Let us say good morning to my guy, Jimmy D. It's Jim DePola. You know, he runs the top producing Keller Williams team. If you don't know, well, now you know. It's the Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams Innovations. Good morning, Jim DePola.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy South Florida. Happy Saturday. It's a beautiful day out. I'm hoping that our technology is working because I still don't believe the technology is working. So if you're hearing any voice audio issues, sorry about that, guys. We'll fix it as soon as we can.
That's right.
We got.
I have confirmation that the radio show is happening.
Okay, good.
It's going out. But you're right. I think something on Jimothy's end was funky because we had some feedback, and I think I heard myself echoing there. So hopefully we get. I think maybe it was just the connection to us and not the radio.
Are you sure that's just not the voices in your head, Mike?
Yeah. I haven't had those in a while, Jim. You know, I did that therapy, and
Hey, Johnny, I just hope you don't mind if I bring this up because I didn't talk about it off air, but I'm just so glad that your daughter was okay with that school scare earlier this week. That was crazy town, man.
Yeah. And if you don't know exactly what happened, my little girl's school got into a code red lockdown, but not just any code red lockdown. I mean, they happen all the time, sadly. But one that had a massive response from local law enforcement, PBSO. I mean, it was unbelievable. The good news is the response was phenomenal there at the school. Unbelievable. It really was. The training they've done for all the code red training for the kids. My little girl told me how she felt, very safe in the class, even though they were all crying and freaking out, felt very safe. At different moments, they were thanking the law enforcement and stuff. Our experience was a little bit different because of a few variables that I'll just leave out because it's not necessary at this point. But yeah, all is well that ends well. And it was a day I hope I never experience again. And I hope any parent out there never has to deal with it. There's one thing where there's a lockdown. There's another where you think there's actual shootings happening. We were in that state of mind for a moment for, again, reasons that I'll leave out. Yeah, unbelievable emotional day. My little girl's resilient as hell. She was telling shooter jokes that night. So I guess she didn't fall far from the tree for sure.
I was gonna say I could see you being her age and doing the same thing about it. It's like, yeah, just another day at the office,
Yeah. But
But
I do commend everybody, PBSO, everybody that responded, and again, what they did at the school, all the work they put into practice, really seemed like it paid off. And man, the response locally from law enforcement was unbelievable.
yeah, oh my God. When I just happened to call Johnny Mike, when it was actually going down, and the panic in his voice was like, oh my God. And then he texted me and told me what was going on.
I
And I
don't think
was like,
any parent ever wants to
yeah,
even potentially be in that situation. I saw the after headlines, which was that it was luckily, I guess, a non-event, right?
Well,
I don't know all the details, but
we have sources through PBSO. We have unofficial statements that we've been told since the actual event, which contradict what the news says. So whatever it is, nobody got hurt. That's what matters most.
yeah,
yeah.
that's what matters. And thank God.
Yep.
And thank God that everything worked out. So, it just kind of puts things in perspective sometimes.
So we, and again, I didn't really intend on doing this, but I'll just let you know the state of mind we were in when I got contacted from my wife. We actually got a text from my teacher, our teacher, saying that there was an active shooter on the school. So when you hear that, you think there's gunfire, right? That's what active shooter means. So in our minds, our little girl was in a code red while there's gunplay going on and completely freaking out. So we went from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat, and I've never experienced anxiety like that before in my life. Once we found out that wasn't the case, that brought you down to a much better place. And then my wife actually got to see my little girl on WPTV from the circling helicopter, zoomed in on some of the kids coming out of the school, and actually saw her petting one of the police canines. So that really gave us a sense of, whew, okay, good. It was like 2 hours later before I finally got my arms around her, but just seeing her was enough to go, oh, okay, good. I'll wait here forever. It's fine.
Excellent. I'm glad everybody's okay. Sorry, I'm eating something. Sorry.
You finish your bite there. I'll tell everybody that we absolutely are going to be live for you in the next couple hours. You can join us toll free, whether you want to talk about the event at school or most importantly, what's going on in the world of real estate. You can call us 877-927-6969. If we can't get you the question answered immediately, we have the resources, a team of pros to reach out to and get that answer for you. And remember, you can always reach that entire team at floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
Just want to give a shout out to a couple people that are on Facebook today. Love you, Mom. She's always on every morning. Love you. Hope everything's going great. Robin is going to be one of our future customers, but a big fan of the show. She's logging on today. Hope everything's going good for you, Robin. I'll give you a call on Monday morning. Good morning, Francis. She's here almost every morning, like clockwork on Saturdays. And the reason why they do it is because hopefully the reason why they're here is because we give a lot of good information and have fun doing it. And we have a lot of good stuff to talk about today. One of the things I wanted to bring up is we're going to talk a little bit about the economy a little bit later because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts, and it could affect the real estate market. But one of the things that I found very interesting was I watched a video a couple of days ago for some big-time economic forecasters, and they were kind of talking about Zillow, right? So if you're thinking about trying to sell your property or refi your property, and you're trying to determine the value of the property, where do people go? They go to Zillow, right? Unfortunately, it's like the 800-pound gorilla. It's so easy to click it in there, and you click a button on you type in your address, and then Zillow magically tells you what your house is worth, right?
Those are people that never followed the news of how Zillow lost all that money investing in the properties based on their own Zestimates.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly what we're going to get to, Johnny, is the whole Zestimate thing. Good morning, Elaine. Elaine is another one of our great fans that comes on every week. And most people coming on YouTube and Facebook. So if you ever want to catch reruns, you radio people, just go to Facebook and YouTube. But yes, so the whole Zillow thing, Zillow. Okay, so Zillow's estimates have been notoriously wrong for many, many, many years, and we've been making fun of it ever since we've been on the show. Is that correct, Johnny? We've been making fun. It's like, what do you use Zillow for to determine the value of property? How is some computer going to analyze the market in your area, right, and know whether your roof is 50 years old or 2 years old, or if your kitchen has been, or you have a 1970 house with a 2018 full renovation, or a 1972 house that's just 1972 everything with infested with termites and all that, right?
Okay.
Zillow's not going to know that stuff, right?
Nope.
So Zillow thought they were so good with, and so then Zillow, I think they said back in 2012, they said something like 80% of the time they're within plus or minus 20% of the real value of the house.
20%.
So then they were trying to hide that their algorithms weren't really that good. Then they started saying, well, this estimate's just a talking point, a starting point to kind of figure out what your house is. So don't trust us, but it's just a starting point to give you a general idea of what your house is worth. Well, you could do that without clicking on the Zillow thing. Talk to a couple of your neighbors that they sold their houses for. Go, hey, my house is worth that too, I guess. Right?
Lovely.
Then what happened was Zillow decided that they were so hot and heavy that they were going to start getting into the real estate business. So they weren't just going to be an aggregator of houses for sale, but now they were going to actually be in there and buying houses and selling houses. And that's what Zillow started doing. So they've been doing it for about 5 years. And I've been saying the whole time as they started this company, how are they making any money? Because I'm crunching the numbers as a realtor. I'm like, there's no money to be made on what they're doing, right? I used to be a full-time investor. I understand how to buy a house and sell a house, right?
And make money.
And make money, correct.
Yeah, and make money, yeah, not lose money, right? So then what happened was Zillow started buying up these houses, and then when they were selling them, what I saw was, because I kept analyzing what they were doing, and they were making 1% off the whole thing. That's what they were making. So if they bought a house for $300,000, and let's just say they sold it for $400,000, which is a big spread, and they usually don't do that. And then they have to go in there and they usually freshen it up a little bit. They don't, these kind of automatic iBuyer programs like Zillow, they don't want to do we buy houses fast for cash kind of thing. Or ugly houses. They don't want to buy ugly houses. They want to buy a house that's in very good condition and maybe put in some new carpeting, a fresh coat of paint. They don't want to start ripping out kitchens and bathrooms, and they want to be able to sell the house and make a spread with very minimal repairs. Buyers who do that, sellers who do that, are losing about 9% of their value just because they don't want to paint their house and hire an agent. So it ends up costing them more money going to these iBuyer programs. But there's a convenience, because if you don't want to deal with anything and you don't mind losing 9% on the sale of your house, go ahead and do that. Have fun.
Yeah, right. If you do enough transactions, Jim, you don't have to make all of the profit. You just make some profit, and you multiply that X times, and you're in a profitable situation, right?
Well, that's the theory.
Yeah.
So
right.
what happened in real life is they started doing it. They were selling homes. They were only a certain. Are you still in a market? Hey, Jimothy, I don't know if we're working audio right. He's asking me, is everything okay? I don't know if we're good or not, because I don't
I just
see
want to make sure whether you guys can hear me.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
We can hear you, but we hear there's a lot of feedback coming from your channel, Jimothy.
Yeah, it almost sounds
muted is better.
Yeah, it almost sounds like there's other stuff going on the station right now behind us.
Okay, I'll see if I can figure that out.
Okay, so with Zillow, what happened was, and this isn't just Zillow, there's a lot of iBuyer programs out here, but I'm going to beat up Zillow right now. So what happened was they started doing this. They were selling homes. They were only in certain markets. They started growing more and more. Then people were like, oh, is Zillow going to take over the real estate market, right? What do you need a realtor for if you're willing to sell your house 9% less than the real value, right? So then what happened is, late last year, Zillow made an announcement that they're stopping their iBuying program right now, because the houses they were selling were taking huge losses. So then what happened is they started selling their houses, and they're taking huge losses and they're dumping them. right? They're dumping all these houses that they got in their inventory that they're supposed to make money on. Now, Zillow is saying that this year we're going to have 10% appreciation. Okay, this is the thing I think that's interesting. So when they have their national forecasters talking about what's going to happen in 2022, and Zillow is actually looked at as a media darling almost because there's such a big presence in people's consciousness for real estate. So when the Zillow economists say something, you know, it gets picked up by CNBC and all the big networks when they're talking about real estate. So Zillow's saying, hey, we're going to have 10% appreciation this year, but we're selling all our inventory now, and we don't want to buy any more new houses. What is going on with that?
Doesn't
And
really
any
add up,
market
does
that
it?
would go up 10% in 1 year, if you're buying now and you know that a year from now the house is going to go in value up 10% and you're an investor, that's a pretty good sweet spot to be in. So why are they selling their houses and not buying any more new houses if we're supposed to see this increase? And I don't know the answer. I don't have the answer, but I thought it was a really good question I watched on this video. You know, I just thought it was very, very interesting.
They might have some grand strategy, Jim, where they are selectively selling and buying at the same time, right? So they're basically selectively selling to keep prices maybe at a certain point in a specific area, so then they're able to target that area for future purchases. And then, like, it seems pretty convoluted, but maybe that, I mean, unless you really knew what exactly they're buying and what exactly they're selling and what percentage of their inventory they're
There's
selling.
nothing else on.
Oh, hey,
Nothing
Jimothy.
else. I heard somebody say there's nothing else on, whatever that is. I
That was
don't
our
know
boy
who that was.
Jimothy. Yeah.
Was that
It was
Jimothy?
Jimothy.
Okay. So what happened was, Mike, that's a really good insight because there was some concern about that right before Zillow made the announcement that they were dumping all their properties. I was getting tips from very respected appraisers down here that were saying that Zillow looked like they were trying to control neighborhoods. So they weren't just buying anything overall, anywhere. They were going into targeted areas based on their estimates or whatever they do. And they said, this is where we want to be in business. They weren't like buying houses all over the country, right? But then what the appraisers started noticing down here and across other parts of the country, because this was one of the markets they were buying in, was they were seemed like they were buying in a certain neighborhoods, if you will, and then paying higher and higher prices for it. This is while they were having trouble. And they were trying to raise the value of the market. They were trying to raise the appraised values for the homes they had already bought by buying new homes at higher prices. Right? So you have a house that you overpaid for. You can't sell it for the price you want. So Zillow, because they got deep pockets, they went into the same neighborhood, bought other houses at above market value so they could sell their overpriced homes by raising the values in the neighborhood. Now, there's no proof to this. I'm being honest. There's no proof to this, but the appraisers were starting to think that they needed to go national and bring this out. That's how concerned the appraisers were about this.
You know, it's a little bit local and anecdotal, right? Like that type of information. But the question is, like, so is Zillow price fixing? But are they, as a strategy, trying to manipulate a little bit, right, for their favor? Which would, you know, if that's the case, we don't know it's the case, but if that's the case, it would speak to their credibility when they're talking about predicting markets, right? Or when they're talking about predicting values. It's just, and you said they're a media darling because they're ingrained in like they made it so easy to say, hey, what's my home worth? But if they've lost credibility because they've got their, you know, their tendrils into the market for profit, right? It's not just, they're not just selling to real estate agents anymore, right? For placement, for advertising. They're actually very interested in which way the market's going, which means they've lost that outside perspective, right? The independent view. So I
And
just don't
everything
know.
they're doing there is legal, right? There's nothing
Yes,
illegal about that.
thank you, Johnny. The appraisers that I talked to also said what they're doing is not illegal. Like if they go in a neighborhood and they try to buy houses for higher prices to change the market,
It feels
that's not illegal.
highly illegal. but it's not illegal.
It's not illegal. No, it's not illegal, but it's also a very, very bad business model. I don't know who the heck came up with the ideas that you're trying to do. Now, I think it was kind of a brilliant idea for Zillow to try to get involved in this, but the way that they're doing it is very wrong. And I'm not even worried about this. There's so many realtors that were so worried about how this was all going to turn out. And the bottom line was, the bottom line was I knew that, and I still know today, that once the market corrects, once we go through a correction, we're not there yet. All of these iBuyer programs and everything are going to scatter in the night, like cockroaches when you turn on the light in a dark room. They're just going to scatter, because that's what happened during the last time. Remember during the boom? Oh, during the boom, sell your house for 1% commission. You didn't even really need a realtor during the boom. You just shoved a sign in the yard. I know, because I was an investor during that time. Literally, I would shove a sign in the yard. And I know we're saying that the market's super hot now, but we would do for sale by owners, and people would be driving neighborhoods just look for houses for sale back then. And you throw a for sale sign in the yard, and you would get multiple cash offers that day, and not even use a realtor. So what did you need them for, right? But then when the market shifted, all those investor people failed, right? And all those companies that were involved in that pretty much failed. And then we became, and then there was no more 1% commissions anymore. And a lot of the companies that were called the discount brokerages, they disappeared. The whole thing just disappeared. And then we had to rebuild the industry again. That's what I love about our model at the Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams team, is that good markets, bad markets, in between markets. Johnny, you've been through all of them with us since 2012, right?
Sure have. Yeah,
all the markets, we've been able to help our customers get the highest prices at whatever market that is during that time. When there was the bad market, I remember one of the things that we were known for is we were able to actually sell our properties. Remember when everything was a short sale or a foreclosure? Yeah. And there were so many houses, you were begging for buyers to come, right? And the biggest problem is like, how am I going to get a buyer in this market? And we just kept plugging away and selling our houses in half the time, whatever the regular market was.
Yeah, I was going to say the timeline was what really stood out, right? At the time, like people were taking 6 months to sell a home, and
the average days on market were about 180 days. Average days on market right now are 14.
Yeah.
So it's more than 10 times the amount difference, right? A 10 factor, right? And that's the way it was back then. But I'm sorry, look at the time. We always, we always work within the market that we're in. We don't ignore the market. We take the market into effect as we're trying to sell the house. That's one of the things that we're really known for. So,
Jim, on the valuation, there definitely has to be a future for computer-based, right? And they do it now, right? The automation, the AVM, the automated valuation models. There's just got to be a future in that, because if the human can evaluate it at some level, a computer can evaluate it, right? Like that's just kind of like the way things think of like driverless cars, right? Like self-driving cars. Like that's just, if a human could do it, the computer at some level will be able to do it. I think Fannie and Freddie, they have their own stuff, right? We're getting appraisal waivers on refinances, not so much on purchases, but they have the advantage that they have a ton of appraisals in their database. Oh, there's Andres in the background.
Yep. Hey, Andres.
So they have the advantage of having a database of appraisals that have been done on homes. So they actually have a lot of those details, Jim, that's not necessarily public records, right? So you're talking about age of home, the exact measured square footage on a home, the most recent valuation, right, that was done. And so there'll be some version of that where you get pretty accurate or acceptable results to predict that market. But
the difference with that, Mike, and that's a very good point. When people have access to somebody that actually went out to the houses in the area and kind of got a real idea of the houses that were bought or sold, what they were really, the condition, the real square footage, all of that stuff. That's how you determine what the value of your house is. You can't just go into a neighborhood and go, oh, my neighbor, my neighbor down the street, he got $550,000. My house is better than his. I know I'm going to get $650,000, right?
Yeah.
I talked to a guy this week. It was so funny. This just shows you how crazy things are in the market right now. I can't wait for the correction in a way, because I don't like this market, to be honest with you. There's a lot of great things from the realtor perspective of this market, but as consumers, it's kind of a crappy market. I hate to say it that way. I mean, you're getting pretty good interest rates right now. We're going to talk about that later. And we're going to talk about buyer's remorse on a next segment later today. But the big thing is that I was talking to a guy in a community called River Bridge in Lake Worth, and our people were calling. He was a for sale by owner, and he had his house on the market for $595,000. So he said, I'd be interested in you coming out to evaluate my home. So I went and did an evaluation of the house, and not in person. I did a computer evaluation, a comp, right? So I did a comp, my comp, and then I saw that the highest houses sold in the neighborhood that were his style, his square footage, his part of the neighborhood. High sale was like 450, 465, and this guy's at 595. So I call him back and I say to him, you've had renovations on your house? And he goes, yeah, my house is fully renovated. Well, I found out that the full renovation was 15 years ago. So in his mind, he put in a lot of money 15 years ago to the house. But a buyer, when they come, it might be beautiful. Sorry. What will happen is that they're going to look at the house and maybe think that it's a 15-year-old kitchen. They don't care that the house is 30 years old. They're going to say, this kitchen, I need to update it, right? So I talked to him about it, and his attitude is, that I go, why do you think the house is going to sell at this price? Because I have it on the market. Now, he's been on the market over 90 days in a 14-day turnaround market, right? Doesn't have any buyers. And I called around a couple of agents that sold houses in that neighborhood recently. I actually do that kind of research where I talk to other agents about what they did in that neighborhood. And I started talking about this house, and one of the senior agents that is, like with me, like a seasoned guy, he goes,
a gray hair or just experience?
No, experience. Thanks, Mike. Okay, we're not going to go into hair. I don't think you're going to go into hair, Mike.
You said a senior agent.
So
like, is he AARP or no?
Yeah, right. So we started talking, and he goes, are you talking to Lenny? That was the seller. And I go, yeah. I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah, you're like, I went over to Lenny's house. I saw the house. I saw the upgrades. That house is never going to sell for that. So then I had my staff call back Lenny to talk to him. And he said that he was thinking about listing with an agent now because he's for sale by owner. But he wanted to give the agent a huge reduction in what the standard is for that community for commissions. And he says, and if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go from 595 to 645. Now, the highest sale in the neighborhood is 450. So it's like, bye-bye. See you later. Have fun with that pain. Right. So don't make assumptions. If you're really serious about selling your house, if you're really, really serious about selling your house, you really need to have agents that understand that sell houses all the time, not some computer telling you what they think. Don't let your neighbor's sale totally dictate. It isn't a consideration. Don't get me wrong. Sales in the neighborhood are very important to look at. But if your house is 1,800 square feet and the other house is 2,600 square feet, and you have everything original to your house and the other house had upgrades and it sold for 550, and you think you're going to get 550, you may in this crazy market, but chances are that's not likely. And you really need to talk to somebody if you're serious about selling your house.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Access the entire team, including somebody like Jimmy D or somebody from the Florida Home Pros team, to give you that insight if you're serious about buying or selling a house. Go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. Or you can call. You can call right now. It's the hotline. You'll find it at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. 888-973-7828. 888-973-7828. Again, you'll find it at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Let's go ahead and take the break. It's 8:30. Let's go ahead and take the break. On the flip side, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about buyers. how many buyers I've been talking to, I don't know, for more than 2 years saying I'm not buying now because I think I'm waiting for the market to change. So what I decided to do was I went back to look at 2 of my buyers from earlier last year, see how they're doing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about their experience from buying from last year. And then we're going to talk about all the buyers that we just picked up from the team, kind of shouty out things, but talking about why they want to buy right now. And we're going to talk about that on the flip side.
Excellent. You know how we roll on a Saturday? We get right back to it, and you're welcome to be a part of the show. You can pile on right now. Jimothy will line you up. We do a 4-minute break, and then we'll get to your phone calls and so much more. 877-927-6969. 877-927-6969. If you'd like to be on air with us, you're welcome to do that. If not, always understand you can go to floridatalkrealestate.com, and you have plenty of contact information there. You can find the contact sheet to fill out or the hotline, 888-973-7828. And remember, Florida Talk Real Estate, not only at .com, you can find them on Facebook and YouTube as well, where we go live every Saturday morning. Thanks for being with us. 4 minutes from now, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, we're back at it, cranking out the rest of the 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday morning. You get it right here on Real Radio.
iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings.
Looking to fill their open head coaching position, the Dolphins have slated interview dates with 49ers and Cowboys offensive coordinators Mike McDaniel and Kellen Moore. Inter Miami's third preseason matchup didn't end in the club's favor. They took their first loss in a 2-1 game against Montreal. And the return of Florida center Colin Castleton is looking closer and closer as head coach Mike White's revealed he's returned to practice. I'm Adam Crowley.
Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's it. Toll free 877-927-6969. If you dial it and we happen to be on the air, well, Jimothy is going to answer that phone line there and we'll get you on the air, handle your question, deal with your comments, have a conversation in the world of real estate or anything on your mind. You're welcome to join us. I'm your boy, Johnny C. Always want to remind you, several entry points every Saturday for the 2 hours of infotainment that we bring you. You can join on 92.1, 101.7. That's on the radio. Worldwide with your free download, your iHeartRadio app. And we stream live on Florida Talk Real Estate Facebook page. Good morning to everybody joining us. Also on their YouTube page, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. A hub of a ton of information to consume. Plus, we go live on Saturdays. Johnny C, well, that's me. If you're looking on the screens above me there, that's Mike Rauch. That's the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, Michael. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great this morning. Good to see you. Johnny, missed you last. We definitely missed you last.
Yeah,
Just
we missed you,
FYI.
Johnny. That's right.
It was a rough morning last week. I hit the eject button a little later than I was hoping, but yeah, I missed you guys. Nice to be
Well,
back
hopefully
with
you didn't listen to us because you would have been like pulling your hair out.
Oh, yeah.
Being like, oh my God, guys, get it together, please. Some flow. We need some flow here.
Well, hey, that's what I do. I bring the hustle and the flow. Is what I do, Mike. Jimmy D's with us every Saturday, y'all, and you got a big dose of Jimmy D last Saturday. That's Jim DePola with Florida Home Pros. That's the top producing Keller Williams team. Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams Innovations. Hello, Jimmy D.
Hey, man. Yes, everybody got a big dose of me, and now they probably need some antibiotics. So,
Johnny, it's so funny you mentioned hustle and flow. I was looking at your microphone, and that popped into my mind. You remember that where you had to switch out the microphone. You had to go get the mic for that scene in the movie. And I was like, is that a new mic? Did Johnny have to go to the pawn shop and pick up a new mic?
New old Mike. Mike. Echo.
That's a good movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, have you seen it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I'm glad the reference kind of got picked up a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
awesome.
always fun.
I want to give just a couple little shout outs. We've picked up a lot of for some reason the buyers are coming out of the woodwork right now. I think that's a smart move. Well, let's get into interest rates first, and then we'll talk about the buyers in general. Okay. So interest rates have been flat for the third week in a row. So that, to me, is good news for buyers. It's good news for sellers. Mike is saying no on this one. This is very interesting because usually Mike is saying that my interest rates reported are, we use the Freddie Mac standard, right? So they do a survey every year since 1971, every week, and then they report back what the mortgage industry is saying as far as average interest rates. This isn't the locked-in interest rate that you would get on your mortgage, but what the national survey is across the country of what people are getting across the country. So in December 31st, we were at 3.1, and then we moved all the way up to 3.5 in like 10 days. And then the week after that, we were at 3.5, and then we were at 3.55. We were at 3.56. Then we went to 3.55, and we're at 3.55 again this week. So the first month of January, we went up a half a point compared to December, but it didn't go up any more than that. So the national economists, at least for January, were correct. What they were saying is that we were going to see increasing interest rates this year. The theory was 3.7 to 4.4 is where we're going to land by December of this year. We're at 3.55 now. Mike, I know that you've had a couple conversations because I got a call last night from one of the customers who were saying that you were talking about whether or not to lock in interest rates or not. So can you tell me from your perspective what you're seeing? Because what I'm seeing is things are kind of flattening out right now. And we're talking very smart time period, weeks. We're not talking a month's trend, just weeks trend. But right now, we're not seeing it go up, up, and up for 3 weeks. We've been flat.
I think the distinction. I think the distinction is like, so my rates are kind of like an hourly type thing, right?
Yeah.
And what you're looking at is a weekly thing. So yeah, we're flat Thursday last week to Thursday the prior Thursday. And so what's not captured in there, maybe the conversation you had last night was, well, what happened on Friday if you were locking, right? Were you at the same rate that you were last week? And the answer was no, right? Because on Friday, for whatever reason, rates ticked up slightly. And so at the very least, you get a daily thing, but I see I see movement, hourly, right? At least the rates are changing hourly. And so you'll see fluctuations there that you're not going to see on a weekly basis. But I agree with you. Like, these aren't fluctuations that to me are huge. We're talking about maybe eighths of a point, or maybe it's like within the same point, but maybe it costs, like if you wanted the same rate as you on Thursdays you wanted on Friday, maybe it costs several $100s more to keep that rate or something, like paying points. So these are moving much more granularly than you see on a weekly or monthly basis. But yeah, week over week, according to Freddie, we're flat. What was it, 3.55, paying 0.8 or 0.7 or something like that in points, right? So, if you want 3.5, that's certainly a possibility, but you got to pay points for it. Points being a percentage of the loan. So I don't know. Yeah,
Can you explain the point things to the public for like first time home buyers or buyers who haven't bought something in a long time? So
and I'll give you a good example. Recently.
Perfect.
Right. So in general, there's what I would consider the par rate, right? So the par rate is the rate that you get that is as close to, you don't have to pay for it and it doesn't have any credits to you, right? So it's basically par, meaning it doesn't cost anything. Like, that's the rate if you're not paying points for it. You can always slide up and down that scale, you can pay to get a lower rate. Maybe I should go this way, right? You can pay money in points as a percentage of, if you're borrowing 300,000, 1 point would be $3,000, right? So you can pay a $3,000 fee to buy down the rate. Now that doesn't get you from 4% to 3%, right? That gets you from 4% to maybe 3.875 or 3.75. There's no like linear math that's done. It's all about locking in and what they're predicting the market's going to look like in 30 days or 45 days, and kind of making sure they're hedging against market movement, right? So you can buy a rate, who knows what rate it is, basically based on the day that you're locking. You can lock in. That's number one question. Are you locking or are you floating, meaning you're moving with the market? Once you lock in, you can then slide up and down kind of that interest rate scale, and you can evaluate, hey, I want to pay X amount of dollars to go to this interest rate. Now the opposite of that, you can also, and this is where like people will talk about like that no cost refinance type option, Johnny.
I'll pay your closing costs,
right? So that one actually works the opposite way. So instead of paying points to buy a lower rate, you can actually take a higher rate, and that's going to come with some fat in it, right? Some points basically back to you or to the lender, which the lender then can give you a credit. So if you wanted to cover a portion of your closing costs, which exists, right? Lender fees, settlement companies, the county, like all these fees exist. You can take a higher rate, which would then have some points back to you, which you could use to cover those costs or receive it as a lender credit, right? So the example I wanted to give you, I was talking to somebody this week, Jim, and they were talking, they were kind of shopping, right? Very, very qualified. So if you're really qualified, you don't have any hair to your situation, right? Like it's just like super vanilla. You're really a good candidate to kind of shop rates, because even like, a trained monkey could get your loan done, right? Like you're that You don't need a specific level of expertise as long as you're willing to deal with the customer service and the red tape and everything. You're going to get your loan done. So she came and I disclosed, and she said, "Hey, Mike, I'm talking to this other lender. Their lender related fees are less than yours. Can you take a look, see what you can do?" I said, "Yes, send me their loan estimate. Let me just look and see what's going on." So their fees were about $250 less than the mortgage firm, right? We charge a fee to do a loan. We're a professional company. We offer professional service. Like, that's what the mortgage firm charges to do your loan. This other company, who happened to be national and space traveling, right, came back. Their fees were $250 lower, and their rate was lower by 1/8 of a point, but they were charging 2 points for that rate. So it was over $5,000 in points to get a rate that was 1/8 of a point lower than mine. In which, I mean, on mine, I wasn't charging any points.
Wow.
Right? So yes, their standard fee was $250 cheaper, but they were charging like their rate, and the rate was lower itself, but there was over $5,000 in points to get that rate. And so I kind of pointed that out and said, "Hey, listen, here's what's happening."
So
right?
what was the break-even point on that loan to beat your loan? Like, what are we talking? 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah,
there's a point
yeah,
there, right?
20 years. Like you would never, like, I would have even if I wanted to give her that rate that was 1/8 of a point, it wouldn't have cost 2 points, right? It would have been something like half a point, right? Or
Right.
0.75, something like that. So it was really pretty stark contrast. I was happy to see it. I'm always curious about these things, right? I don't often see loan estimates from other lenders, but when I do see them, it's nice to see like what's really going on, like what's happening there, and to be able
How
to
are they
explain
working it?
that.
Yeah.
Because the rate is always the shiny object, right? It's very easy to get kind of caught on that rate and not so much on the costs that you're actually paying to get the rate. So
Well, and also like from just I don't know if she was a layman, but for somebody like me, you're gonna look at the rate, you're gonna look at the closing costs, right? And you're like, oh, they're beating you here, they're beating you here, but I'm not trained to read the minutia of the rest of that loan and how it's working out. But you are, and you can look and be like, oh yeah, you're right there and there, but look at here's $5,000 that they're hitting you with to get to this rate. So I mean, knowing what you're looking at is more than half the battle.
Yeah, and she had looked at enough to say like, "Hey, Mike, their fees are lower than yours," and she was right. Like, their fees to do the loan was lower, right? Their underwriting and processing fees,
$250.
Yeah, but there was a big item there, and I pointed it out, and so that was she was happy that I looked at it. And I'll tell you, I have looked at those LEs, Jim, before, and I've said, "Hey, listen, that looks really good. I can't beat it. Like that you're in good, as long as they can get your loan done, which I know they can." Now, I've also told people, "Hey, listen, you are really going to have a hard time getting your loan done through that company, right? Because of this and this and this. And so you really need a level. Not only do you need a level of customer service, you need a level of expertise to get it done on time." And so,
speaking of that, Mike, one of the things that I found very interesting is that Scud Missile Company and some of the other companies that are known for that, like the big national companies that advertise everywhere on the Super Bowl and all that. Right now, they're going through huge problems. And this is cyclical, so it isn't going to be like forever. But right now, they're just tanking. And I was like, how the heck could they be tanking? There's no inventory. People are gobbling up everything. Those companies are really better known for refis than they are for home sales. So when the refi market is weak, and it is a little weaker because we went up a half a point, right? So it's a little weaker than it was, let's say, six months ago.
Sure.
For the refi, there's less opportunity because that half point pushes some people out of the refi market. So they're going through major problems. And that was like a big wake up call to me to remind me that if you're going to those national companies to actually close a sale down here, there's a lot of things that those big national companies can't do that a local provider that understands the market down here specifically can give you. So it kind of becomes the Rumsfeldian thing, the Donald Rumsfeld thing.
the known
knowns and the unknown knowns, and then there's unknowns.
How do you known knowns? You have your known unknowns, and then you have your unknown unknowns.
Yes. So the unknowns, right? The unknown unknowns in this case is, and this is a perfect example. We went through this last year. I don't want to get into it too much, but remember we had a customer that just wouldn't budge from using the national company they wanted to use. We were helping them buy a property down here, and then the national Scud missile company said at the last minute, sorry, we can't get you the loan. And part of the problem was with the insurance on the property. And they didn't understand insurance down here because Florida is an insurance crisis right now, as far as I'm concerned. I want to call it almost like a crisis because the prices are so out of control, and there's so few companies that want to insure houses down here. So they weren't prepared for that. And when they found out what the prices were, it screwed up the whole deal for the customer in a way. And then thank God Mike came in and salvaged the whole thing like he always does, cleans up everybody else's mess, right? And fixes it. He's the fixer.
If I can, I'd love to do it. Jim, I think if we're talking about the same one with that driveway situation, right? The duplex with the driveway situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, that was one where I even tried to help them resolve it, right? I was like, hey, listen, let me talk. I even talked to their loan originator on the other guy who ended up being a good guy. His heart was in the right place. He just kind of stumbled his way, into an issue. Johnny, I tried to help him figure it out. I said, listen, here's what you need to do. Go back to your underwriting staff, point these things out, get it done, because that was the quickest scenario. And ultimately, they just, for whatever reason, weren't able to make it happen. But
and then Mike,
getting a loan is one thing, right? You have to be able to close on that purchase. Right?
It's kind of like
so you can go and get approved for a loan. That's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to close on the purchase of a home. If your ultimate goal is just to get approved, I don't want to say fall for. Enjoy the advertising that they shove down your throat.
Punch in the buttons on your phone. Punch in the clicks on your phone. You'll get an approval. Don't worry about it.
Jim, can I tell another?
Being able to close, period, end of story. And when Mike has to get involved to help somebody try to close with one of the big marketing
I know, right?
loan originators, the big companies, you're going to the wrong place. It can work for many. It has worked for many. Go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
I was going to say I got another one. I'm sorry, Johnny. I stepped on your ending there. Go ahead.
No, you're fine, Mike. You're good. You didn't step on nothing.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Yeah, you do it, Mike.
I have a client yesterday. I've done 2 deals for him. We talked in late October about a refinance, a cash out refinance. I put numbers together. I said, here's what it looks like. We were just about ready to pull the trigger. He said, Mike, you know what? I got this other thing. They're like really crazy rates. And I said, listen, explore it. You guys are a little bit complicated, right? Not everybody could do it. So I think you need some expertise, but go ahead and explore it. He did. Their rate was like crazy, half a point better than what I could offer him. And I was like, I can't compete with that, man. So go ahead. Like, I'm going to wish you luck. I know it's going to be complicated, but they sound like confident. I talked to him yesterday. They're still sorting out how to get his refinance approved. So this was late October.
Wow.
So November, December, January.
Yep.
Right. I said, hey, listen, and he still thinks they're going to get it done. I don't think they're going to get it done. And
the interest rates went up a half a point.
So the interest rates have gone crazy. I said, are they still honoring that rate, man? Because
it's gone.
Like you've had it locked for a certain point. He texted me. He said, here's what they said. They said, we can extend our lock at no cost to the borrower, no problem. And I'm like,
do it.
Oh, okay. Like, that's easy to say, but if you can't get the loan closed, then yeah, you could say anything you want.
That guy's coming back to you, Mike. Either he's going to pay more money than he should have paid or could have paid.
And he's lost a half a point on done. Yeah. So it's I mean, I don't feel good about it, right? I told him, I said, listen, I hope they can get it done. I hope you still can have that rate locked in. I'm hopeful. I'm not optimistic that they're going to be able to do it. But yeah, it's just one of those that, sometimes you have to learn that the hard way, that it's not just like you got yes men in this world. And then like, I would never have them in something that I couldn't close. Right, Johnny? Like, I'm not going to tell you we can do that. Hey, let's take the application. Yeah, let's get it going. And then hope and pray that it works. I don't work that way.
No, you'll do the hoping and praying while we're exploring to see if you're in a position to do it. That's when we hope and pray. And then you get to the brass tacks, the numbers, the bottom line, and you go, here's why we can't. Here's what you can do to fix it. Here's your best path. Here's how we can get it done. But right now it can't happen. And this is why.
Mike's been with us since 2016 on this show, thank God. And not one time since 2016 when he started on this show, not one time has Mike said that he can get a loan for one of our customers and not got the loan. Never happened. Never called up, say, sorry, can't get the loan. If that's the kind of comfort that you want when you're trying to buy a house, you got to give us a call so we can get you over to Mike. We have a system. Our team of the Florida Home Pros has a system to help you buy your home. So I'm going to go over that system really quick. And then the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about buyer's remorse and buyers again. So we're going to go into the second segment. But let me just go over our plan of how we help you. Okay. We're dealing with this a couple customers basically all over the country now. I have many people from New York and New Jersey and Connecticut that are trying to buy down here, and we're helping them through Mike. So this is how we do it. You call up, you say you want to buy a house. The first thing you have to do when you're trying to buy a house is you got to figure out your numbers first, because you can't do anything without understanding your numbers. It's great that the idea that you want to buy the house, right? Buying the house is great, but you got to
Make
go
the reservation.
like making the reservations with Seinfeld, like the mortgage company. Oh, we can get you approved, but closing? Oh, I don't know about that, right? That's the whole point of having the approvals to get the closing, right?
We'll take your loan application.
Oh, we'll give you the approval. Oh, you want to close? I don't know, man. So here's the thing. The first thing we do is understand your numbers. Now, when we say understand numbers, we mean understand your numbers. We know everything back and forth on the numbers. So when Mike tells us, hey, the buyer is good for $550,000, that's not the end of the conversation, right? And if your agent is if your agent isn't talking to you about this, I'm telling you right now, you have the wrong agent, okay? Because the agent and the mortgage broker need to be talking way more detail, especially in Florida, than, okay, you're good for $550. Well, how much did you budget for taxes, property taxes, Mike? And how much did you budget for insurance? And is there an HOA fee included or not, or a condo fee, right? All of those things are put into a calculated formula that Mike used. We call it the shopping tool. So when my agents, either I or the agents on my team, are going out looking for our buyers for properties, we are laser focused on the numbers. So if we're budgeted $3,000 a year for insurance, $3,000 a year for taxes, $300 a month for the HOA, and based on those three figures, to keep the buyer within the budget they want for their monthly mortgage payment, they're good for $500. Then one of our agents finds a great property for $525, and it's the perfect property, and inventory is so tight, and we're like, wow, we're so close. We have a 500 max. We're at 525. We know we're having multiple offers. We're probably not going to be able to get them to go from 525 to 500, but my buyer really wants the house. Well, we're going to be very creative. The first thing we're going to do is call up Mike and say, Mike, can you double check the taxes? And we have an insurance quote from Ross Camara, and it's Brightway Insurance. And then we say, Mike, can you please, and Juno Beach, the only Brightway Insurance that matters, the Juno Beach office with Ross. And then what we do is we ask Mike to give us the numbers. And a lot of times Mike will say, hey, the taxes on this property are lower than what we budgeted originally. You can't go to 525, but you can go to 517.5. That's your max to stay within your budget, right? Now we have a little play, right? Our max originally was 5. Other times what we might find out is that we want to buy something for 500, but the taxes or insurance are higher than what we were hoping for. And Mike goes, to keep within budget, you can't offer 500. You only can offer 485. So that's how specific we are with our buyers. And that's what we need in order to succeed.
You find that 475 home, but it's, frame construction with the 35-year-old shingle roof, and you're not going to get insurance at that, kind of estimated value. You're going to have insurance that's put you over the top as far as payment goes, right? Real estate agents hate it because I tell them you're qualified for a payment, right? And they're like, well, what does that mean to me? Like, okay, you qualify for $2,300 a month. What does that mean to me? They want the pre-approval that says 450,000. Plug that into your MLS. Go shop at anything around 450, and that's convenient, right? And it certainly makes the real estate agent's job easier, but it doesn't accomplish the goal of making sure you can close. So it's definitely something if you're out there with a generic pre-approval, you just have to know that you're potentially, and your agent hopefully knows, you're potentially getting into a situation that can't close.
I tell you what, I want to give a shout out to Mike and Natalie Medina Rao, one of my top buyers agents. And on the flip side, we're going to talk about a family that we're helping out right now. We're not through it, so we're not closed yet. So I don't want to jinx it. But what happened last week of how we were able to help this family just shows you the power of using the Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams Innovation and the whole team at Florida Talk Real Estate. We all got into action for this family. It's a really inspiring story. We're going to talk about that next. This is all related to buying. We're going to keep talking about buyers right now on the flip side.
Awesome. We got a 4-minute break here coming up and very valuable information. The break isn't time to just tune away. Look, if you have to, I understand. But we give you all kinds of details about this team during this 4-minute break. And remember, you can reach the entire team, your one-stop real estate shop, a team of pros. You can get them all at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com on Facebook and YouTube. Look up Florida Talk Real Estate. But that .com is your hub, your one-stop real estate shop. Or call 888-973-7828. Call it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Answered by a live body. Yes, you can call it right now. You'll find the hotline at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Back at it 4 minutes from now. Great to have you with us every Saturday. Plenty of time remaining. Another full hour for you. 2 hours of infotainment right here on Real Radio.
Be like the smart kids, like the summa cum laude of your workplace.
What?
Tell your smart device to play Real Radio 92.1 on iHeartRadio.
This report is streamed live on our iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
Hey there, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm CBS 12 Storm Track meteorologist Zach Covey. Partly to mostly cloudy skies and some scattered showers today across Palm Beach County. We'll have daytime high temperatures topping out in the lower 70s inland and the low to mid 70s at the coastline. Winds will be shifting out the north throughout the day as that cold front passes.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast, now with a free drink with any breakfast sandwich purchase. Get a better breakfast at Wendy's. Buy any breakfast sandwich and get any size drink in a Wendy's cup free. Hot coffee, Diet Coke, or vanilla frosted-chino? Yes, free. Get your free drink when you buy a Wendy's breakfast sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
This is WCCR FM, West Palm Beach, Real Radio 92.1, powered by the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Been in an accident? Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Yeah, it works. Trust me, it is a toll-free number. Jimothy will answer it, and we will get you on the air and handle your questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. Don't be shy. We love talking to the people. You're always welcome. 877-927-6969. Thank you for being with us. 92.1, 101.7. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're on your free download, your iHeartRadio app, we appreciate you. You can also join us on our Facebook page, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday, or on YouTube, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC, also live. That's a hub of a ton of information, y'all. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. Thanks for being there. Johnny C., that's me. Mike Rouse with us on this Saturday. He's the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, Michael.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Happy to be here.
Always nice to see you. And good morning to Jim DePola. I call him Jimmy D. You know, he runs the top producing Keller Williams team. That team, it's the Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams Innovations. Jimmy D, how you be? You're muted. You're muted.
That's Jimmy D for you.
A pros pro, Johnny. Pros pro.
I've only been doing it 10 years. You got to give me time so I can get my radio legs, right? It's only been 10 years, right?
That's
10
right.
years. Can you believe it?
But the Zoom aspect, or not Zoom, I'm sorry, the StreamYard online thing, they've only been at that a couple of years now, Jim. So it takes a little time.
I did ask the station if we can go back into the studio, and they were like, no. I'm like,
Wow.
really? Because everybody else is back, I think. But they won't let us back in the studio. I'm like, what the heck is going on with that?
Yeah.
So I tried, guys. Just so you know, I tried.
Hey,
So
I wouldn't take it personally.
yeah, maybe I don't take enough showers or something. Who knows? So, hey, I want to go over two just super quick questions because Robin, one of our future customers, but also a big fan of the show, she asked if I am putting on a solar panel on a roof, am I going to have an insurance problem? Like, is there a higher insurance cost if you have solar panels on your roof? That's an excellent question, Robin. I'm sorry it took me so long to respond to you, but it's an excellent question. And one of the things that, if you're listening, you're brand new listening to us, one of the things about us is that when we know, we tell you, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. But when we don't know, we tell you, good question, Robin. I don't know the answer to that. But we also know how to get the answer for you, which is going to be Ross Camaronets from Brightway Insurance, only the Juno Beach office. Don't call any other Brightway Insurance, only Juno Beach, because that's where Hot Ross is, who know I call Superhero Ross. Oh, and speaking of that, please go to our Facebook page, Florida Talk Real Estate. Ross is doing some kind of superhero human thing where he's going to be boarding for 80 miles from Bimini to the Lake Worth Inlet. And he's going to start out at night, in the middle of the night, doing this in the Biminis. I don't even know how this is going to work. He's never done more than 5 miles. But he's going to do 81 on this, and I'm so excited for him and very proud. He's doing it for cystic fibrosis, a charity. Just go to our Facebook page and please sign up. Even $5 is anything that you can give that you want to be inspired to give or feel like you want to give. It's all appreciated. So please, let's support Ross and his cause. I still haven't done it yet. I promise I'm going to do it next week, but it's coming up soon. Mike is just like, you're pathetic, Jim. So we're going to be doing it. I want you guys to do it too. Please support Ross, and more importantly, Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
Yeah, if everybody gives $1, we will shoot past his goal. Just if everybody gives $1,
so awesome.
Yeah. If you can dig down a little deeper, that's amazing. I know. Mike, when we brought it up on air a couple weeks ago, he went on Facebook immediately, and within 5 minutes, he already made his donation. It's a real streamlined process. But yeah, if you have a few extra shekels, throw it towards a great cause, and let's try to get Ross up and beyond his goal here. A great fundraising event, and man, he's going above and beyond. He really is.
Thank you, Johnny. The other thing I wanted to mention, go ahead, Mike.
Just real quick on the solar panel question. So one part of it is an insurance, and I don't know if she's talking about installing it on a home that she's going to purchase, or if you're buying a home that already has solar panels installed, and you're doing financing, you better let your LO know about that, because there's some specific requirements based on. Sometimes those solar panels are third-party owned, Jim. So you're almost like leasing the panels from these solar installation companies. So how those things were financed is important to whether you can even buy the home. So
well, I got to talk to you. I'm going to talk about that off air with you, Mike, because that's new information to me. And this is what I love about the one-stop real estate shop is all the disciplines are talking to each other. So now I'm going to have another piece of knowledge in my toolbox after I talk to Mike about this. So thank you.
And there's different ones, like when the solar is used for power for the home. Another common one down here is when you have like solar heating on your pool, right? So that's like a different scenario. So yeah, there's some nuance there on the lending side that not a lot of agents or certainly consumers are aware of.
Yeah, and maybe we should do a whole thing about that, like energy efficiency, like trying to retrofit energy efficiency to a house and not building it in from the scratch, because that PACE loan, that turns into issues for people and stuff I don't want to get into now, but that's a great subject. We're going to talk about that on another show. The other thing I wanted to bring up, let's talk about this real quick, Mike, because it's 10:13. But one of our customers right now, and this is something I had forgotten, most realtors don't talk about tax portability with their seller buyers. Okay, so what's a seller buyer? A seller buyer is somebody selling a house and closing and buying a new house basically same day that they closed on their own house or within a very short period of time, like days.
And using the proceeds from the sale to accomplish the purchase of the new.
Usually, and when you're selling a house, when you're selling a house and buying a new one of the biggest problems that you have, if you've been in your old house for, let's say, 15 years and you've been homesteaded and you've had super low interest rates compared to all this crazy appreciation we've had, and then you sell the house and then you go to buy the new one. When you buy the new one, even if that had very low tax rate because that house was homesteaded, when you buy it, the county has the right, and they always do this, to reset the valuation of the house for your taxes for the new owner, right? And then the new owner can claim a homestead on the new home, and then it moves forward. But there's a thing called tax portability. And even though that we're taught this in our real estate classes, most agents forget about it. So we're always talking about tax portability with their seller buyers. But with one of our customers, Mike, I don't want to mention the names on the air, but they sold their house less than 2 years ago, moved out of state, didn't buy a new home, and now they're moving back. And they found out through either you or the tax collector, Mike, that they still have their tax portability availability to them. So now they're in the process of trying to buy a new home down here, and they're going to be able to take the tax portability from their old house that they sold less than 2 years ago and use that for the new home. So what is tax portability? Let's say your taxes have been protected very, very well through your homesteading in your first home. And then you go buy a new home and they're going to have to reset the taxes for the new home. And now you're in sticker shock because now your new tax bill is way higher than your old tax bill. And it kind of can make your mortgage payments go kablooey, right? Really, really high. Well, with tax portability, they realized that the state realized that they didn't want that to happen to people. So what they do is now they take a portion of the discount that you got on your home that you live in now and transfer it over for savings on the new home. So you kind of block the huge price increase for the new home, right? The sticker shock. And one of the things I found out, and it just reminded me, but I totally forgot about this. You don't have to do it like as a seller buyer. You don't have to do it immediately. You could sell your home, and then you have a certain time period when you buy the new home. You can still use that tax portability, and apparently it's at least 2 years. It might be longer, but I think it's 2 years.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I was the one who initiated or planted the seed with these particular buys, but we definitely talked about it. And it's 2 years. You have to occupy, Jim, on January of the third year. Right. So that's kind of, it's not quite 3 years, right? You can't do it within 3 years. So it's basically 2 years, but just kind of based on the January there. I think the important thing is, like, number one, you're basically trying to make your property tax obligation as low as possible, right? Like, that's the spirit of the whole thing. You just want your tax bill to be as low as possible. So part of that is filing your homestead exemptions. That's going to make your taxes as low as possible. The portability is what can transfer from a previously homesteaded home to the new property in the spirit of making your taxes as low as possible. So there's three values, right? There's the market value of your home, there's the assessed value of your home, and then there's the taxable value. So the difference between your homestead exemption makes a difference between the assessed value and the taxable value, right? That's your 50,000 homestead exemption plus some other additional ones. The difference between the market value and the assessed value is your portability, right? So that homestead exemption not only gives you the $50,000 gap, it gives you a maximum that the assessed value can increase year over year at 3%, right? So as the market value is increasing, your assessed value can only go up at a steady rate.
Exactly. So like
right?
just to use that figure. So last year we had 24% on average for single family homes in Palm Beach County. We had 24% appreciation last year.
But the market value has gone up 24%.
Market value went up 24%, but the county can't look at it that way. They can only increase the value of the property by 3%.
The assessed value.
Right. That's the max that they can do.
Yeah. So the portability is the difference between the market value and your assessed value on the home that you sold, right? The home that was previously your primary, and now you're buying a new one. But that gap is what is portable to the new home.
So they only have to stay within those parameters if you're homesteaded, though, right?
So the only time portability would ever apply is if you're homesteaded.
Right.
Yeah,
but
so
the assessed value being capped yearly at 3% through the county, they can march right past that if you're not homesteaded.
Yes.
Every year,
yes.
if you don't have a homestead exemption, your assessed value will match market value.
Got
right?
you. So
as the market increases,
so if you own a ton of homes and they're not homesteaded, if you rent them out, you feel that pain potentially. Yeah. But if your residence, your homestead, hopefully you've homesteaded,
yes,
and you don't feel that pain. But that portability is amazing.
It's a huge thing for people, and you have to be thinking about that. The thing I found interesting is I forgot that you have that. I didn't know about the 3rd January thing, but you have almost anywhere from 2 to 3 years, and you still have the ability to use that tool in your toolbox. Yeah. And the reason why they created homesteading, before they had homesteading in Florida, because we've always had huge price appreciations compared to the rest of the country, people were losing their houses because they couldn't pay the taxes. Losing their houses, right? They were going into foreclosure. So some people, they had their houses owned for like 50 years and they owned it and they never had a mortgage, but the taxes from the price appreciation in Florida was making it too expensive for them to stay in their homes. And then the politicians said, elected officials said, hey, we can't have people that lived in their house for 50 years and not be able to keep their house because they can't afford the tax bill.
I mean,
So that's
Jim,
how they came up with this.
the origin of, I don't know if it's a law or a statute or just like a policy, but it was called, was it called like Save
Our Homes or
Save
something.
Our Homes
Save
initiative
Our
or
Homes.
something like that.
Yeah, it was
So
called
it was exactly what you said. It's about not letting your property taxes run out of control just because you live in an appreciating market.
So we're talking about homesteading here and the portability of your homesteading, and I'm getting a good education as we go here. So I know, so I'm homesteaded and have, since we bought our home. So I have that portability. Is there another layer of value in our next home purchase? Does it matter if the people we bought that house from were homesteaded in that home, or does that completely insignificant?
So it's only significant, Johnny, in terms of what is your tax, like when we're qualifying for your payment and assuming whatever, your tax bill is going to be whatever the tax bill is that came out the most previous November, right? So your mortgage payment.
You get a big benefit then if you can buy from somebody who's been homesteaded forever.
That's right,
because forever because their tax bill's been kept low.
Yeah, that first year that they're in the home, but it is going to reset with your sale. So everything resets. So that's why people really get stuck when November shows up. They've been paying, $100 a month on property taxes, and the new bill comes out and it's $4,000 for the year, right? So your bill, instead of being $100 a month, was going to be, $350 or $325 a month. And so you haven't saved enough in escrow. And I think your question is, well, that bill comes out in November is based on the disposition of the property in January of that year, right? So you get the benefit of kind of their homestead for that first year, but then it's going to reset. But as long as you have portability, Johnny, remember, the tax bill is going to go up from the previous owner. There's no question about that because the market value and the assessed value are all going to reset with that sale. But you need to reduce your taxes as much as possible. And that's where you make sure you file your homestead. And if you have portability, you make sure the portability transfers. And it's all just in the spirit of just making that bill as absolutely low as possible.
It does make sense. You made that really clear. Thank you for being so concise. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You want to work with people that are really concise and explaining what's happening? It's a team of pros, your one-stop real estate shop, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thank you, Johnny. So just remember, if you're a seller buyer and you're selling a house and buying a house, even if it's roughly within a 3-year period, you got to think about tax portability. And if your agent or your mortgage broker, if you're using a mortgage broker to buy the new home, or loan officer, Mike, sorry, you're a loan officer, but if you're talking to somebody like that, they should be talking to you about this, right? They should be bringing it up to you. So
yeah, just one point on that, Jim, on the 3-year thing. So like if take that family, they were just seriously considering, do we come back to Florida, right? They moved out of Florida. They're coming back to Florida. If you're like teetering on that type of decision, or maybe you sold and you've been renting and you're like, well, should we get back in the market? This property tax question, especially if you had a homesteaded property, should be part of the figures, right? So part of the things that you're thinking about in making the decision, whether it should be now or should we wait longer, right? That should be part of that, and think about the January 1st on the 3rd year kind of question, right? If you sold last year, no big deal. If you sold 2 years ago, you should be thinking, wait a second, do I need to beat this?
Do all the tax haven states have some kind of like homesteading program?
I see. So I'll see buyers who own properties up north, right? Like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And I see homestead exemptions across there. So I don't think it's a Florida phenomenon that there is some sort of tax protection.
So it's not a tax haven.
Live in their home as a primary. I don't know if it's nationwide, but certainly it's not unique to Florida.
Is there a benchmark of residency in the state that you have to meet? Like you have to be here. I know you said you have to buy a house within 3 years of your homesteading or the January of the 3rd year, but do you, like if somebody's moving from New York to Florida, can they homestead their first home purchase? You have to be here for a certain benchmark.
No. So as long as you live in the home as your primary residence on January 1st of the year, you are eligible for a homestead exemption. Forget about portability. You're eligible for a homestead exemption on that property if you live there on January 1st. So even let's say you buy it in March, right? You're not going to be eligible for homestead that year, but once you occupy January, you can file your homestead exemption.
Yes, and the other thing to know about that is that I'm sorry, I had something to say. Hold on.
Relocating homestead.
No, I know. I'm having a mind. I feel like saying 220, 221, whatever it takes. So the other thing to remember about that, I remember, is the residency. Okay, so as long as you're using it as a primary residence, because you were asking about homestead qualification, Johnny. So Mike said, as long as it's your primary residence, there are regulations of what considers a primary residence. So most people think that you just have to live there 6 months of the year, and that's your requirement, but that's not really true. You have to have lived there 2 years out of the last 5.
Right.
But they don't have to be consecutive. Right. Now,
I think that's a different question, Jim. I think that's like that has to do with capital gains when you sell.
For capital gains when you're selling the house, but that's a homestead requirement, like to get capital gains on the back end. I guess you're right about that, Mike. But homesteading in Florida is not the same as homesteading for your federal taxes. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. There's a little bit of different regulations there. And the federal tax homestead recognition is to save you money when you're selling the house, so that when you make a profit, you don't have to pay what's called capital gains on the property because it was your homestead. It wasn't an investment property, so why are they charging you capital gains, right? So there's a component to homestead about that. If you want to know more about homestead and deductions in general, just like deductions you can get, there's stuff for widows, there's stuff for veterans, there's stuff for fully disabled veterans. There's all kind of exemptions you can get on the tax bill for your property. If you don't know about all of them, or you're thinking, hey, am I getting everything? Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to get the answers for you.
Oh, yeah. We got as they like to refer to in Sports Illustrated, the CPA to the stars, not 1, not 2, but 3 Sports Illustrated articles about Jared Perry and Perry Group CPA.
Oh, no, not Jared Perry anymore. You know what Jared's calling himself now? He's calling him what I called him. He calls himself Jared Bacon.
Jared Bacon.
Is he? I don't believe.
Jared Bacon now.
I don't believe that he calls himself Jared Bacon.
Let me tell you what happened.
Around you.
This is because of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon aspect of Jared Perry's life. Again, CPA to the stars, part of the Florida Talk Real Estate team, PPF, player performance first. He's amazing, but he knows everybody. Literally everybody.
So we started talking about 2 weeks ago. This is what I'm saying. And I asked Jared to come on the show, and he couldn't because he's so burnt out. He just wants to go on his boat and not do anything today. Much deserved. Hope you enjoy the boat trip.
Hell too, by the way.
But yeah, he was just done with all the 1099 stuff. So last 2 weeks ago, I'm talking to him, and now he has a connection to Kanye. A direct connection to Kanye if he wants to, right? Or Ye, or whatever you call him, whatever the guy's name is, okay? And I was like, how the heck and then some big producer called Big D or Big J or something, I don't know. I'm almost 60, okay? So
Big D, that was my nickname.
Big time producer, right? Big time record. I want to call him a record producer, but I don't even know if you can call it records anymore. So anyway, the guy's a big-time music producer, and then he was also talking about how he accessed to Kanye. And he actually said to me, I go, wow, how the heck did that happen? He goes, I'm Jared Bacon. And I started laughing. I'm like, oh, no, you're taking my thing. So we're calling him Jared Bacon from now on. It's so funny. And he called me that same week, 2 weeks ago. He invited me to go a special VIP exclusive thing to a VIP club in South Beach. Club 23. He had his rapper Rico Cash. If you're into rapping, check out Rico. He's a really growing artist right now. He's getting pretty big in Atlanta, and now California and Los Angeles and New York are taking really hard looks at him right now. So Rico was doing a birthday bash for himself down at Club 23 in Miami. Jared organized the whole thing for him. He gets Antonio Brown, LeBron James, Busta Rhymes. Wait, that's a blast from the past, right? Busta Rhymes. And there was some other super famous guy. I can't remember who it was. And they all show up to the club. They all do their thing there. Jared invited me. The problem is that the party was a Sunday night party. The guys didn't get there until 12:45 a.m. Monday. They didn't leave until almost 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. And I was like, that's going to blow my Sunday, my Monday. I'm not going to be able to function on Tuesday because I'm old. And Wednesday I'll be coming in and I'm still not going to be feeling good. So I said, I'm going to pass on this one, Jared. I'm passing. But anyway, he was down there. They had a blast, totally sold out. The amount of cars, there must have been millions and millions of dollars of cars pulling up to that club. Bentleys, Rollses, you know, all kinds of super expensive cars. I'm not even talking about like, you know, Lambos or anything that we're talking like the high end super luxury stuff is rolling in.
You got to be in a certain category to be able to party into the wee hours on a Sunday. Like that's just, it's not for the everyday person.
Well,
for sure. Next time this happens, Jimmy D, let me know. I'll go down there with my red vest. They'll just throw you keys to every car. They're like, there you go.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Here, I'll valet it. See you later. Right. So anyway, God bless Jared. He's doing great. Player Performance First, which I'm a co-owner of. We're a lot of big changes, good changes happening there. We already signed 2 NFL players that are going to be in the draft. They're draft ranked. They'll probably go 5th round or higher. Really looking forward to watching their careers grow. Jared's been working like a dog. It sounds like he's getting more and more in entertainment and not just sports. He's doing sports and entertainment now, because now that he's done so well for Rico, now there's 2 other rappers that wanted Jared to be their manager. So it's a pretty crazy ride watching this accountant, right? You think of these,
I was going to say, even
bookkeeper guys, right? And Jared's not like that at all.
But even with all that, you can still get your capital gains question answered.
Yes. Yep. So just give us a call, because he owns Perry CPA Group besides Player Performance First. So wanted to do a couple of shout outs to some of the people that are working with us right now. Wanted to say thank you to Saray and Juan. They gave us 2 customers, both their family members. Saray and Juan, we helped them, I think it was the beginning of last year. I think like January 2021. Mike was involved in the deal. Ross was involved in the deal. Natalie, I sold one of their houses. I sold Juan and Saray's house. Natalie stepped in, helped them find the new home. Mike was the mortgage guy. Ross was the insurance guy. If I'm not mistaken, Trident Title was the closing agent for at least one of the properties, for one of the properties, because the other side was buy side. They were very, very happy with the experience. And now their mother needs to buy a home. So they weren't sure if she can qualify for a home. We got them to Mike. Just like we told you at the beginning of the show, we use our systems. We got to Mike first. Mike set the budget. We understand where the financial needs are and where the limits are. Then Natalie had a meeting with them this week. Emma was really impressed. She signed a buyer's agreement with us. Natalie's going to be going out and go finding her a home somewhere in Royal Palm Beach near the family. Then they also gave us another customer, which is Suray's sister and brother-in-law. They're moving from another state. They're coming down here. Got them to Mike also. And one of the things that Suray and Juan were really happy about is that we have a bilingual team. So Natalie speaks fluent Spanish and Mike speaks fluent Spanish. I mean, fluent, even though Mike's a gringo, not as gringo as me. Mike is fluent Spanish. So anytime you have those needs, because a lot of people, even though they might speak English really well, if Spanish is their natural language, when they do business, there's a lot of time they just prefer to talk in Spanish when they're doing business. So we recognize that, have that skill. And
I love being able to float back and forth in one conversation, because that happens a lot too, right? Like, especially like Saray, you know, she's been here forever. But you know, some things they just come off better in Spanish than they do in English when you're trying to say something.
Yeah, I met Saray's mom yesterday. She does not speak English, and I didn't even know to say nice to meet you. I mean, mucho gusto. I can't even remember that.
You got it.
So, and the only reason why I know that is I asked Natalie. I turned to her and go, "How do I say to Emma, nice to meet you?" She's like, "Mucho gusto," and I'm like, "Of course, I know." Mike's shaking his head right now. I don't even know how to say that. My favorite Spanish story though was when I was working at the Sun Sentinel. We used to have. I didn't take it obviously, but all the reporters were trying to learn Spanish. So they had a Spanish teacher come in every week. And one of my friends, Neil, who is Italian nationality, and he's kind of a little scattered brain. He's one of those genius scatterbrain guys, right? Like an absent-minded professor kind of guy. He's super smart. But he was in the class, and I happened to be there that day. So he asked in English. We're only allowed to talk Spanish in the class. So he asked in English, how do you say no in Spanish? I'm not joking about this. So the lady says, no, or however you would say it with a Spanish accent, because I can't. But she said no. And he says, no, how do you say no in Spanish? And she kept saying no. And she did it like 3 times, and he wasn't getting it. And then I started giggling. I couldn't help it. I just thought it was hilarious because they kept going back. And she kept saying no. And he's like, no, in Spanish. How do you say it in Spanish? And it was just, I wish I taped it. And I started laughing. And then he realized what was happening. And then he didn't talk to me for 3 weeks because I laughed at him. So
I've got a very good friend of mine. He's got one of his sayings. He says, "Cómo se dice," which means like, how do you say, right? He goes, "Cómo se dice, cómo se dice." Or like, how do you say, how do you say? Like that's one of his pickup lines or something. Like
there you go. So so thank you for Serene Juan for trusting us with not just one family member, your mom, which is valuable enough and important enough, but now I'm helping your sister and brother-in-law. So thank you so much. And it's a testament to the team that they want to come back. And thank you so much. We also have Lisa that's going to be coming on board. She's going to be selling a house in New Jersey. She plans on moving here to be close to her grandkids. She has a Keller Williams agent daughter that's up in New Jersey helping sell her property. She was so impressed by me, Lisa, that now I'm working with Lisa. Now, Lisa's other children, another couple, married couple that's Lisa's kids are moving from New Jersey and moving down here. We had a really good conversation with Mike yesterday with that couple, going to help them make that transition from New Jersey to Florida. Thank you so much. And we're probably going to be working with 2 buyers. And this is what I want to talk a little bit about. We're going to be working with 2 buyers that have buyer's remorse. Okay. And this is very unusual. So what happened was we had a guy, 2 people last year. We had a lady named Denise who sold a house with us up in Fort Pierce, and she wanted to move to Vero, and she definitely wanted a new construction home. She was on a very tight budget. We found a brand new construction home for her, never lived in, was already pre-built, so she didn't have to wait for it to be built. We closed on it. She's been there 13 months now, and she doesn't like the neighborhood. And the neighborhood is a very growing neighborhood, and it's all new construction around her in an ungated community. So everybody's building these homes like spec homes and not like done as through a development, but just lot by lot by lot. And there's
is that what she doesn't like though? The fact that it's not done?
She said that, she said she just felt like, I don't think it was so much that it wasn't done. She doesn't like that some of the roads that she has to travel are not paved. She said location wise, just getting to grocery stores and stuff for her wasn't her cup of tea. And overall, she just wants to shake things up. So she wants to sell the house and buy a new home. She'll do very well on the sale of her home because in the last year, the prices went up pretty good. So I'm not worried that she's going to be upside down. It's very common when you buy a new construction home, if you're trying to sell it under 2 years, this is pre-craziness. You might take a little loss because of the closing costs and everything eat up a lot of the profit. But we have such strong profit right now. I'm not worried about that with her. She'll walk away with money.
Good.
But trying to buy the new home is going to be the problem for her because the prices for for another home for her have gone up. So we're working with that. And we had another guy, Robert and his wife, who sold their house with us in Vero Beach. And then they went and they bought a new construction home on the northwest part of Florida, basically. And they were really, really happy. It was a 55 over and gated community. They moved out there. Now they're not real happy with the communities that surround them. So they're happy in the community they're in, but they don't like the communities that are surrounding them that are starting to get built up. And on top of it, they don't like the location. Again, it was location, location, location. They don't feel the location was situated right for their lifestyle. It wasn't close into shopping and dining and the other things they wanted. So now they're thinking about selling too. He's thinking about moving back to Vero. Denise is in the process of trying to decide if she's going to stay in Vero or move back to North St. Lucie County. She's not sure. And we're working with them right now. So one of the things I wanted to tell you is that's very unusual. Out of the last 3 years or so of all our buyers, those are the first time I heard 2 buyers that said they were not happy with the sale of their home or the,
especially
the
for those
purchase
reasons,
of their
because
home.
those reasons, Jim, you can kind of like, before you buy it, like, hey, your shopping situation is what it is. Like the reasons they weren't surprises, right?
Well,
they are present.
with Robert, I didn't know I knew he was buying in a 55 over community in another part of the state, but it isn't part of the state that I deal with every day. So I don't even know exactly where it was. I just know the city. So if we were the buyer's agent for that, we would be having conversations about that. With Denise, the reason why Denise, she kind of knew where she was going to be, but what she was trying to do at the time, and she was remember, Mike, how tight Denise was? When we were selling her house and trying to buy the new home for her, the sale of her house, what she was making on that, and she needed to roll that into the purchase of the new property, plus she's on fixed income. It was very, very tight to get her into the house that she bought. So we didn't really have a lot of geographic locations for her to go. She wanted new construction. She was on a very tight budget. That was the place, right? Now she's realizing maybe I should have got a used home in a different location. So that's what we're looking at now, right? So you have to be really careful. Just be very, very careful. We have somebody coming in from Facebook, Jocelyn, and thank you, Jocelyn, for checking in with us. The reason why I'm breaking in on this, she's calling from Winnipeg in Canada, right? So she says this: "Good morning from cold and snowing Winnipeg. Thinking of moving to sultry Florida."
Sunny.
So, hey, I don't want to rub it in, but we're in a nice balmy 70s, and I'm staring at this big window right now, Jocelyn. And we're just looking at beautiful, gorgeous, non-rainy skies. Don't even have to wear a jacket today. I actually decided I wore a long sleeve shirt because I thought maybe it'll be a little chilly today. Nah, I should have just wore a short sleeve. And
listen, she's probably not the only one up in the northern parts that are thinking about, hey, it'd be nice to be somewhere sunny right about now.
Yes, and Jocelyn, we just helped somebody from Canada late last year buy one of their dream homes that they moved into. They're so happy. Natalie went in and got them an excellent home. They're on the Intercoastal. Johnny knows who I'm talking about, Joe and his partner. And they are so happy with their home, talking about opposite of buyer's remorse. They're so happy. They invite Natalie to come over. They're showing them all the renovations they're making. It's just a great thing. So if you're interested in coming down here at any point, all you got to do is call 888-973-7828. We're one phone call away. You'll see it on the Facebook screen.
Joe would be a really good a testimonial.
Success story, sure.
Because, from Canada, but man, very different outcome if he's not working with a great team to be able to get over hurdle after hurdle after hurdle after heat. Now, they had to have the desire to deal with it, the stomach to deal with it too, but that was not easy for them. Unfortunately, they were working with Florida Talk Real Estate. They came from Canada and got locked in with a great team to get this done. Otherwise, you guys know the process. It probably is a different outcome.
Joe's a great story because he really needed expertise in all areas. And he had come from working with other people and was not successful, even getting into contract, Johnny, like even finding a home. And of course, you put Natalie on the trail and she's like, I know exactly what you want, but we're going to go find it. And she finds it so quick, gets it in there, gets into the deal. Of course, we had complications through the process, but really just and they needed a very specific set of expertise, like the best and that's what they got on all fronts. And so,
They had money.
success.
They had money. Like that wasn't the issue. It was they needed expertise. Is what
Yeah,
they
it
needed.
wasn't a budget problem with them. It was not a
Nope.
budget problem. It was finding the right house they wanted. They had very specific criteria. They had been searching for so long before they reached out, and they actually didn't reach out to the 888 number. What they did is they told us eventually that they fell in love with the podcasts that we have, and on Facebook every Saturday morning for months and months and months, they come here to Facebook and they turn it on through their Alexis or Lexi or whatever they call the damn thing, because I don't have one of those things, because I don't want Google spying on me. Not that I'm doing anything.
It is anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But what ended
shout out. They might be listening now. Shout out to Joe.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, y'all?
Yeah,
and it's a small correction. Although he had, trying to think, Joe was a U.S. citizen. Although I think he was back and forth between Canada and.
I didn't know that.
Maybe even Minnesota. I forget what it was, but
right. Well, he
definitely someplace cold. That's for sure.
So what happened? He would turn on. He said every morning he would turn on Florida Talk Real Estate while he was feeding his kid, right? And they just really enjoyed it. They knew they were going to move down here because they come down here for vacations a lot, and they really wanted a place that they could have for their own instead of bouncing around. They called up Mike. They were very impressed with Mike because they had a bad experience with another loan officer before Mike. I shouldn't say a bad experience, but not a great experience. And then Mike said, "Hey, are you're working with an agent?" And they said, "Well, nobody that we're like really attached to." And Mike's like, "Well, if you're going to use us, why not use the whole team?" So I appreciate that, Mike. And then we got him over to Natalie, did a rock star job for them. Very, very happy. Speaking of that, let's talk about this. We've had a hairy situation, very scary situation with one of our customers. I had somebody that's known me for a long time. They called me up. This is about the portability tax. So the couple moved from South Florida and then moved to North Carolina, but it was a big mistake because the couple was in their 80s. One of the married couple is in a wheelchair. And now they're in Asheville, North Carolina, where it's very hilly and you're in a wheelchair, but also the cold. It was just overwhelming to them. They had lived in South Florida for 70 years or something like that. And now they're moving to Asheville, and it wasn't a good decision. So now they had to leave Nashville and come down here. So what they were hoping to do, because they're on a fixed income, these are people in their 80s, right? So this is a very common experience for people at that age. So they decided that they wanted to rent. We started looking for rental properties, but it wasn't really working out the way we were hoping for. So finally I said to them, well, actually Natalie said it to him first and said, you really need to buy. And we weren't trying to upsell them because I would never do that to somebody, but I felt like they were better off buying just for rent control protection purposes, right? So if this elderly couple or senior couple did go for the rental, there was no guarantee that the next year that the rent wouldn't go up astronomically. We're seeing rents going up 40%, 60% from year over year. Can you imagine, like, if you budget $1,500 a month on your fixed income? I'm not saying real numbers here, but you're budgeting $1,500 a month. You live there for the 12 months, and on the 11th month, they said, "Hey, you want the new lease again? You're going to pay $2,100."
Wow.
Well, this couple, I'm making fake numbers here, but they can't afford to do that. They're on a fixed income. So I'm like, why don't you buy a house, lock in a mortgage with Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm? You know what you're going to pay every month. You don't have to worry about future. We just have to find you the right home and stay within your budget. So it was a very, very tight budget. So we went out. Natalie went out, found him a home. It was the best home available on the market at that point. We thought it hit most of their needs, but they needed to do something right away because their lease was ending in Asheville. So I went down there for the inspection. It was the worst inspection I've seen in 5 years. It was a 52-year-old roof. 52-year-old roof.
What?
Right? It was original. Well, 50-year-old roof. It was 1972 house. The roof had never been replaced. The massive amount of termites in this house was amazing. Live termites everywhere. Even in the kitchen cabinets, live termites were walking around in it. I've never seen that before.
How does Jim? How does a listing agent not
This
aware of
listing
that?
agent was the worst listing agent I've seen in well, I shouldn't say the worst in a long time because there's so many not great agents, but this agent did not care about anything. While we had it under contract for 3 weeks, they never took it off the market. They left it active. You're not allowed to do that. They did that. That's a lazy trick for realtors to try to grab more buyers while the house, even though the house is under contract, you're supposed to be required by the MLS to tell other realtors through the MLS that the house is either under contract or pending.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They keep it active, trying to churn to grab buyers, right? They didn't disclose anything that was wrong with the property. Then we found out that the not only did we have termites in a 50-year-old roof, but we also had major aluminum wiring problems in the house. So I looked at the inspector, Roger from Suburban Home Inspectors, and I looked at him. I go, my customers are 80 something years old. They can't buy this house. And he looked at me and he goes, no. And then I called up Natalie, and Natalie was freaking out. She goes, Jim, we got to make this work. We gotta make it work. We'll just get the owners. We'll try to get the owners to negotiate on the roof and the repairs. I said, no, Natalie, let me go over everything. So I went over all the stuff, and then right away, Natalie said, we can't sell him this house.
Yeah.
And that's the way that we are. We're not going to try to jam you in to do something, because what that meant is that we were going to have to cancel the contract and go find another house, and they were on a really tight deadline. So before we even talked to the buyers, I told Natalie on the phone, we got to cancel this contract and we got to start looking for another house right now. Okay. As I was driving up north back to the office, because we were in Broward, I'm in Palm. I'm driving back. I call the buyers. I tell them the bad news, tell them that we're going to look for something. 2.5 later, Natalie calls me up. I found the perfect property for him. Next thing I know, I'm driving back down to Broward immediately because we don't have any time. I walk in the front door. I'm ready to take a video because that's what I do. Jocelyn, if you're looking to buy down here, we did this with Joe and his crew. We take videos. Not
You think
to
she's
promote,
French, Jim?
I would think so, based on
Keep saying
her full
Jocelyn
names. I'm sorry?
instead of Jocelyn.
What
Jocelyn?
Jocelyn. Yeah, sorry. I'm not good in French or Spanish, Mike. Don't rub it in. So what happened was, what we do is we take a video of the whole house. We don't just take a video to show, oh, it's a great house, buy it. We try to show anything that's wrong with the house. The good things, the bad things. This house hit so many check marks, and this is the best part. I love this for this family. Talk about a great story. Built into the price is an automatic new roof. This is in the same neighborhood as the other house too, a perfect 55 and over community for them with low HOA. And now they're getting a brand new 2020 roof built into the price, and they're paying $15,000 less than the other house, and it's in way better condition. Natalie hit a home run, grand slam on that one. Mike jumped in right away. They're paying less per month than what their budget was for the other house. And we're going to have the inspection next week, so we're not out of the woods. But with the brand new roof, the AC's newer, water heater looks good to me. I know there's no visible leaks or anything. That house is going to be the house that they're going to be moving into, and I'm really happy for them. So just a very scary situation for them, and we never panicked. We did the right thing the whole way. We didn't try to shoehorn them in. We said, hey, it's time to reconsider. Let's reset. Let's get this done. And we're making it happen.
Yeah. And one thing we should say, Jim, is like we kind of use a similar process to not only find the home. So Natalie's like spotting the home, but also getting into contract. I mean, you can't just send your offer, right? You have to basically communicate to the listing agent and to the seller ultimately the strength of your offer, which means, not only is this a good offer, but we're actually going to close on this, and here's why. And you're competing with other offers, and there's some nuance there to make sure you're getting in. And we were able to do that as a team effort, contacting listing agent, putting our best foot forward, getting into contract quick before other offers come pouring in. And you're just not going to get that with every team, right? You're you're going to be out there, and a lot of buyers are going through that. They're just like making offers and not getting into contract, right? So that was another thing that was pretty important.
And that's part of, like you said, Mike, that's part of all the systems that we have as a team together to try to get our buyers to win the bidding war, right?
Yeah.
We're in a bidding war. No, I mean war. I'm talking war. You got to put on your armor and you got to get ready.
Dying.
You got to but you got to go out there. Well, people feel like they're dying sometimes. So you just see when, remember Susan? I think Natalie turned in 9 offers for Susan last year before she got her offer. So imagine turning 9 offers, Johnny. I know you turned in a few when you bought your house. I think it was 4 or 5.
Yeah,
but
not 9.
Imagine 9. No, 9 times, and you have to fill out all those forms, and you got to wait, you got to hope, and there's so much drama involved, right? So much anxiety.
That reminds me of Jimmy asking to go out on dates.
I know, right?
Rejection after rejection after rejection.
No, right? So the thing is that Susan stuck with us the whole way, and we got her home. And a few months ago, we talked about this on the air. It made my day. She took a picture of her because all she wanted was a single-family home with a fenced-in backyard, so her dog
Hudson
had a place to run. Huh?
Hudson.
Oh, you remember the dog's name? That's so cool. And she and then Susan, when she moved in, it was a few months later, she was working on the house. She took a little time. She took a photo of Hudson sitting under a shade tree in her backyard, in her fenced-in backyard. And she's like, this is his favorite place.
Heck
and I'm like, wow, that is just, I'm getting tingles talking about it. Just awesome when we can make that happen as a team for people. And we can make it happen for you. So this whole thing, this idea that, I can't buy a house, I'm going to wait for the market to change. That's how I want to wrap up this show. I know we probably have 2 or 3 minutes. We had Deidre just put out some stuff on Facebook a couple days ago about all the upgrades she's doing on her house. I think Mike was the mortgage broker for Deidre and her husband.
Sure.
They bought a really nice 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhome in Palm Beach Gardens. I call it one of my honey holes because it's an affordable townhouse location with great rental opportunity later on if you want to do that, but a great place to live, a nice, safe neighborhood. And Deidre's and her husband have been working really, really hard on the house. And I saw all the upgrades they were doing. I'm like, this is just so freaking awesome to watch them just become first-time home buyers and nesting and doing all that. And even without the repairs, their house probably went up about 20% from when they bought it.
Beautiful.
And now that they're doing the upgrades, it might be 25, 28%. So don't, anybody that's saying, I'm going to wait. Interest rates are going up. Things aren't going to really get better for you. The people that told us 2 years they're going to wait, they're paying 40% more than they were going to be paying, 2 years ago. So don't let that happen to you. Call us. Maybe it is not time to right time to buy the house. Maybe it is, but don't make the decision without all the facts. We're one phone call away.
Yeah, making decisions without arming yourself with all the necessary information to make the best decision is kind of ridiculous. And that information is free. It will cost you nothing to get with the team of pros to find out your positioning, see where you're at, what you should be doing right now. Maybe the plan is you need to hold. Maybe you're not in a position to buy right now. You don't determine that. Let the pros determine that. Go to floridatalkrealestate.com. If I was going to be the one determining whether I was going to buy a house, I still wouldn't have bought a house.
Yeah, you'd still be
it like 8 years ago. He's like, let's do this. And I was like, man, I can't buy a house. You know what? 8 months later, I was closing on a house. So let the pros determine it for you. Go to floridatalkrealestate.com. You got access to the entire team. Pros, your one-stop real estate shop is what we like to call it. floridatalkrealestate.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. Ton of information to be had there. But write it down. Remember it. Share it. You can change lives by sending people or taking your butt to floridatalkrealestate.com. Mike Rauch, have a great weekend, my friend. Always nice to see you.
Yep. Thank you. Happy South Florida, everybody. Look forward to next week.
Jim, you too. Have a great weekend. I hope everything goes smoothly this weekend for you, my friend. Don't be too busy. You got to have a little bit of downtime.
I'm going to try.
All right. At least a couple of hours on a Sunday or something.
Yep.
Jimothy, thanks for everything. Thanks for being with us on a Saturday. We'll be back at it next Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment. We'll bring it to you every Saturday morning. And of course, we build you up into the locker room. Got you the next 4 hours with Timothy, Greek, and Joe. Locker room's next. We'll see you next Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.